And a big welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Ireland's #1 championship for sim racing. It is RTA Virtual Motorsports here live on Gantry TV. And I tell you, what a season we've had here in these RTA Super Formula Light series. It has been fabulous, and we come to another fabulous circuit. Now, I wouldn't know too much about Brands Hatch, so it's a good thing we've a local here with us this evening. Mr. Kieran McGinley, a native Brands Hatchian. How are you doing, Kieran?
I'm very well, thank you very much. No pressure tonight then, hey lads, hey lads. We're starting off well because the city's not Kent, but never mind, we're here now at Brands Hatch, and yeah, it's one of my favourite tracks to commentate at, purely because of the undulation and all sorts that we'll get into later on. But yes, a fantastic circuit to go racing on. I'm sure our drivers will be absolutely thrilled that there's no rain tonight, really unleashing the potential, the sweeping corners. High speed is most of this circuit, and very much origins of grass racing on motorbikes in the early 1930s. It's come a long way since then.
Yes, it has. Now, don't believe what you see on TV, folks, because I do know a lot about this circuit, and I absolutely love it. It is a fabulous, fabulous facility that will give us some great racing. We started our GT4 Cup here, of course, at the end of last season. It was one of the more chaotic races, so it bodes nicely into what could be a dramatic evening across the board. You can see the practice times there on your left, but we'll be talking more about them after, because you were joining, if you did join us, I should say, for Imola last week. Well, I hope you've recovered okay, because what a evening we had, Kieran. In the rain, it had a bit of everything.
I've just about recovered myself to go commentating tonight, and maybe a few fewer commentator curses, although, you know, that's never a guarantee. What are we talking about? As we watch on from Dylan McClemens as he makes his way through in towards Clark Curve, through the final corner. Yeah, very much just about recovered from that. 3 rounds to go, though, and we start here at the pre-penultimate round of the season at Brands Hatch, and our last one that is in the UK for this stint before we hop over to Germany for Hockenheim and then off on a plane to the United States to end up at Long Beach for the finale.
Yeah, I tell you what, we're not looking at the carbon emissions really in terms of the travelling. Eamon Ryan will be sick with us, but no, it has been a fabulous season. And look, let's call a spade a spade. We didn't think we'd have much of a championship battle at this point in the season. We absolutely do. It is really, really close at the top because of the hat-trick for Ronan Doherty last week and for the great results from Rory O'Shea. So Ronan Doherty now, the man who, if I quote correctly, hadn't even thought about the championship yet. He leads it ahead of Rory O'Shea and Jordan Kelly. Jordan Kelly has been cemented at the top for so long, he now drops to 3rd. So it is Doherty on 339, ahead of Rory O'Shea on 321. Jordan Kelly on 314, ahead of Sean McGoldrick on 270. Then it is Dylan McClemens on 259. Just 3 points ahead of his brother Sean McClements on 256. Peter McCann then just behind on 207, with Camto Chukwa in 8th on 189. Then it is Conor Melia on 169, ahead of Alexander Mielchin on 167. So it's quite a wide spread in the top 10, but there's some really close battles mixed within there, Kieran.
Oh, absolutely. As there so often is here at RTA. It's brilliant to see all this racing that goes on, bringing out the best of our top guns here in Ireland. And Ronan Doherty at the moment, I mean, a stunning hat-trick at Imola. He really pulled it out of the bag and now leads the way by that 18 points. Really great stuff from him. And it just shows you, for someone like Jordan Kelly, a driver of his calibre, struggled last week at Imola. And it just shows you that even if you can be dominating, you know, picking up 1-2 wins per week, you don't have a good round, it can really bite back. Now, of course, Jordan Kelly might have the fallback of a dropped round, but still, even for Jordan Kelly, he will be looking back at that and thinking, well, that's my dropped round. I can't lose any more points from here on in.
It actually isn't his drop round, because if you pick up a penalty, you're not allowed to use it as your drop round, and he picked up a penalty last week, so he shot himself in the foot really in that side-by-side to the line with Lawrence de Soswa, if you remember it, at the end of Heat 2. But it really goes to show the calibre on offer here in RTA when you have the 2023 British Formula Ford champion in a battle with so many sim racers, so many drivers. It goes to show what is on offer, and that's going to be on offer for the rest of the evening here around Brands Hatch, the 3.916 kilometre circuit. Kieran will run you through the Jordan Kelly lap that we have as always in a few moments' time. But what can we really expect, Kieran? It is a tight circuit. There's a lot of run-offs, but it can provide overtaking. It's a little bit of, it differs from the usual sort of standard where if it's a big wide track you'll get more overtaking. it kind of has a bit of everything mixed in, and I think that's why it's the driver's favourite.
I think so. You're going to have Druids, which is your second turn. It's going to be a huge overtaking opportunity. It's probably the slowest corner on the track. You rise up the hill, and it's a case of who's going to be the last of the late breakers as we ride on board the front wing. I believe that's of Jordan Kelly. No, perhaps it wasn't. Oh, it is Jordan Kelly. But you see, just using those runoffs there. But, you know, it's grass and gravel. There's not a lot of tarmac runoff around here at Brands Hatch. It really is an old school circuit, this FIA Grade 2 circuit. You've got the curbs, and that's about it. So there's not a lot of margin for error as he'll now make his way through in towards Clark Curve. And flying through here, you really need to be confident in your setup. You really need to be confident in yourself. There's so many medium and high speed corners, and especially once you go through Hawthorne Bend and you get to the likes of Westfield Bend, Dingledale, Sheens. Oh, by the way, Dingledale, fantastic name for a corner. And then all the way into Stirling's, you need to be chucking that car in with the full confidence that you've got the grip underneath you. If you don't, you're going to lose at least half a second, maybe even more there, especially in these Super Formula Lights.
Yeah, the Super Formula Lights has been a very interesting car. It has been one that's some drivers have struggled with, especially when we get the rain. It's a very difficult car in the rain, but the three-cylinder engine is good for straight line speed, but also good for racing. The chassis and aerodynamic upgrades from sort of previous spec Super Formulas, I should say, in previous spec single-seaters. It is a huge jump up and provides some fantastic action. But we're into qualifying now, folks. The first laps are just coming on the board. You can see it is Jordan Kelly who's quickest, 1:15. I think I have to hand it back over to the local here to do Jordan Kelly's track guide. It would be like if I took a Brands Hatch track guide, it would be like Kieran taking one of Mondello. I would be absolutely fuming. So in what could be the best track guide of the season, here's Jordan Kelly's hot lap with Mr. Kieran McGinley taking you through it.
There's too much pressure now. I'm going to bottle it under the pressure. I absolutely am. But let's ride on board then as we jump straight into Paddock Hill Bend, which is a very, very interesting corner where the corner falls away from you in towards Drew as we go then. One of the biggest overtaking opportunities on the track. And then you slide your way down the hill once again as you head your way towards Graham Hill Bend. Plenty of runoff area on the outside. Expect many drivers to be using that one. There's normally a camera trying to catch you on those track limits. Not tonight, though, as we head our way through in towards Surtees, a corner that goes uphill as you try and turn in. So the understeer will be very, very prevalent if you carry too much speed through. Down we go then through Pilgrim's Drop, and you get a little bit of respite before you size up Hawthorne Bend, and it's one of the most demanding parts of the circuit. Down a gear to fifth to try and turn in towards Hawthorne Bend, and then we head our way through in towards Westfield Bend as once again the track starts to fall away from you. Plenty of gravel on the outside of these corners as we head our way through in towards Dingledale and Sheens here before you size up in towards this medium speed corner of Stirling's. There's a slight camber through the corner, but as you put the power down, it starts to go uphill, so big opportunity for oversteer there as we head our way through in towards Clearways, through into Clark Curve, and you get fourth gear here. Again, a lot of undulation as you make your way across the start-finish line down the Brabham Straight, and that is a very swift 2.4 mile lap here of Brands Hatch.
I built up the pressure for that one, and he performed when the lights were brightest. What a track guide from Mr. Kieran McGinley. That's the stuff you only get in Ireland's Premier Sim Racing Series. And in terms of qualifying so far, it's a little bit up and down. Sean McGoldrick was top of the times there, but he has been beaten by Kelly and Doherty. Conor Melia in fourth. Ronan Doherty, of course, won last week's Heat 1 and didn't take pole position. Jordan Kelly did. And that was the first time that whoever took pole didn't win the first heat in 119 days of RTA Virtual Motorsport. Since the 20th of February, the last person who won a Heat 1 not from pole was Jason Smith in the Formula Ford 1600s at Phillip Island. Speaking of Jason Smith, by the way, congratulations to him, of course, on his actual Formula Ford 1600 endeavours. Got a last to third around Linden Hill, which is very impressive. But that goes to show how important pole might be for Heat number 1, Kieran.
Absolutely, and we just have a chance here to see if history repeats itself from last week, perhaps, or if it's going to be another 119 days before we see that ever happen again. Jordan Kelly across the line, and let's see if he improves this time around. It was a 14.474. It looks like it is now the 14.474 that Jordan Kelly has set, so that puts him 2/10 clear now of Rory O'Shea, who's just come across the line. 14.7 from O'Shea, puts himself within a quarter of a second of that current top position. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Can Jordan Kelly pick up where he was supposed to leave off a week ago before it all went slightly pear-shaped.
Yeah, no, I don't have the days on this one, but last week was the first time in a long time that I can remember that Jordan Kelly didn't finish on the podium in any of the 3 heats. Even back in GT4 Cup and Formula Ford 1600s, he was still up there. And throughout the 4 years that RTA has been around, he has been up there for quite a lot of them. He has a few championships to his name, does Jordan Kelly. He's won in V's twice, he's won in F3s, and then even back probably before we all even knew of RTA, he was probably winning here. But yeah, great racer is Jordan Kelly, but he does need to recover from last week, as it was, I wouldn't say lowest of the lows, but it was certainly under his high standards.
I think he will be the first to admit that as well. And it was the fact that we didn't hear from him at all last week, which was such a bizarre thing to have happen. We normally speak to our top 3 after race number 2 and the final race of the evening. We didn't hear from Jordan Kelly once, and it was a bit of a trek into the unknown. But we'll see what he can do tonight here. It seems like he's very much back on hot form. 4:10's clear now of Rory O'Shea with his last lap on the board, a 14:2 from Jordan Kelly. Very, very quick lap around here once you get into the groove of things. We did see in practices Jordan Kelly get into the 1 minute 13s. He has, what's that, about 6 minutes left of the session, maybe slightly less than that, to get himself a lap time that's much quicker to get himself further clear. There's a little bit of rallycross going on there for one of the top runners. Just see very briefly there, Peter McCann is now into the top 10. Brian McManus, who was our driver of the day last week, although we watched back that footage of the, what was it, the second race at Imola? It was an interesting one, that's for sure.
It was, and speaking of driver of the day, Peter McCann does not want it decided by a coin toss. I won't tell you the threat I got if I bring out my coin again, but he does want it decided by a coin toss. But Peter needs to put in the results. He has been fairly decent in the last few weeks, this Peter McCann. You might remember Heat 2 last week. He rounded 15 minutes of Imola with no rear wing, which is an impressive feat. Although he didn't get a top 10 finish for it, still a mighty impressive job by him. There goes Ronan Doherty, pipping Rory O'Shea for second on the grid. And it is currently Kelly and Doherty who are 1 and 2. That's a sort of familiar 1-2 since Ronan Doherty has returned to regular racing in RTA Virtual Motorsport. Then it is Rory O'Shea who is in 3rd, Sean McGoldrick 4th, Brian McManus 5th, Sean McClelland 6th, then it's Conor Melia 7th, Dylan McClemens in 8th, Cam Tochukwu in 9th, and then Peter McCann in 10th position. Brian McManus, although we said he was involved in that incident at the end, at the start of one of the races last week, he's certainly improved across the course of the season, Kieran. He is becoming one to watch.
He is, and I'm sure he'll be one to watch going in towards tonight's session. I mean, Dylan McClemens had a bit of a moment there. Someone spun at the top of Druids there with a car on Dylan McClemens going through the final quarter of Clark Curve. Just seemed to snap on him underneath him, which is a bit of a worry because you're flat out at that section. So for the car to snap underneath you at that point, maybe just caught a bump the wrong way or had an argument with a bump on the track and it tipped the car the wrong way. Either way, not a good sign when we're 5 minutes away from our first race starting. Sean McGoldrick then currently 5th fastest right now as he now makes his way through in towards Stirling's, and then back on the power we go through in towards Clearways before we head underneath the bridge then towards Clark Curve. We'll ride on board with Sean then as he makes his way through in towards the final corner of Clark Curve. And a slight lift, then back on the power, back on the throttle we go, heading our way down the Brabham Straight and across the start-finish line with a little bit of a toe perhaps for Sean McGoldrick. Stays 6th fastest on that one occasion, but he did set a 17.6, so perhaps a little bit of a rest lap before he goes and pushes on for this flying lap.
Yeah, that was a nice run through Paddock Hill Bend, so could be on a good run there. The drivers will be well used to this circuit now. We'll be getting the quickest times of, I suppose you could say in quotation marks, the race weekend, because they had plenty of practice last night, practice before this, and now qualifying. And it's not adapting to different weather conditions like it was at Imola. Speaking of weather conditions, you won't be seeing Simran Thakur here this evening. He's not racing, as his sim racing room is currently 34 degrees Celsius in Canada. Isn't it well for some? The leaving cert weather has headed over to Montreal, but no Simran here this evening. We do hope he's enjoying the stream at home, and we look forward to seeing him soon. Picked up a P9 and a P8 last week in Heat 2 and 3 respectively, so, or yes, Heat 2 and 3 respectively. So a good week there for Simran. This is Tony Stackey looking in the Buzzing Hornets livery. He's a little bit further down than where he'd like to be, Kieran, but as we've said time and time again, Tony's a man to watch out for in racing conditions.
always can find his way through the order, always can find those little bit of gaps and doors opening to find himself up the order. But you're right, it's just that qualifying form at the moment. If he can improve that, he's got himself a really good, strong point-scoring contender that has easily a chance of getting into the top 10 of the championship. It's just a case of putting together the entire quote-unquote weekend. I quite like that. Peter McCann up to 9th place after that last lap he did, 1 minute 15 flat. Puts him now into the top 10, staying onto the 5th row of the grid at this moment in time. Jordan Kelly still out on the circuit. Still hasn't really improved from his... well, he has improved slightly. 14.290 was his last lap. But he's now back out onto the circuit and see if he can get himself into those 1 minute 13s that he was setting in the practice session. Ronan Doherty is just shy of 4 tenths behind right now. Here goes Jordan Kelly, then making his way through the final quarter of Clark Curve and onto the Brabham Straight. What can he do then? Can he get an improvement on this lap time as he makes his way across the line? Not this time. 1 minute 15 flat from Jordan Kelly. And whoa, getting very close to the gravel there. It's one of the reasons I love Paddock Hill Bend. It's a flying right-hander, and you really have to judge it to perfection because it goes downhill as you start to try and turn in. So that just promotes the understeer, which tries to promote you to put on more full right lock, which promotes even more understeer. And you just get this vicious cycle where no matter what you seem to do, you seem to get closer and closer to the gravel trap. If you've got the corner right, the steering you've put in will eventually emerge on the other side. But it's just getting through that understeer, through that first corner, and hoping you don't put too much speed through the corner to find the gravel trap on the outside. That gravel trap in motorsport stops anything pretty much in its tracks.
Yeah, as long as I've been playing video games and been playing sim racing, I'd say I've been in the Paddock Hill gravel trap more than I've been through Paddock Hill corner. And like, I mean, obviously I'm the most skillful driver in the world, but I presume there's a lot more who agree. John McClements improves to 4th, then Conor Melia in 5th. Camp Chukwu did improve to 4th, but he was beaten by McClements. Coming into the final minute of qualifying now, it's looking like it's going to be Jordan Kelly on top this evening in qualifying. So he has got within 10th a second of him, but it seems like he will not have time to improve. Rory O'Shea jumps to 4th, Conor Melia jumps 3rd. It is a right shootout. The second row of the grid. O'Shea eats Melia and again.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say that it's not quite wrapped up just yet, but Jordan Kelly, Ronan Doherty both in the pits then with 1 minute 14s. And as you said there, Ronan Doherty within 1/100th of a second of Jordan Kelly's time. As, oh, that's someone going very wayward there. It's Brian McManus who goes for a full spin and maybe even reversing his way into the pit lane there. Was that Chukwu who was making his way through? Probably not, actually, because he's in the pit lane already. Dylan McClements, that probably was, making his way through. Just sauntering in, and all of a sudden, no, it was Camto then. So here comes Dylan McClements then, making his way across the line. Can he get an improvement on his lap time? Yes, he can. He moves up to 7th fastest then with a 1 minute 14.929. Puts himself onto the 4th row of the grid, but that's qualifying done and dusted. And it's Jordan Kelly who takes yet another pole position as we head into our 3 races here at Brands Hatch.
Yes, Kelly returns, and he is on pole position for the heat here. Kieran, run us through the grid.
Yes, absolutely. So we've got Jordan Kelly on pole position, then Ronan Doherty in 2nd place with Rory O'Shea rounding off our top 3. It's Conor Melia in 4th place with Sean McClements in 5th, Camto Chukwu in 6th place with Dylan McClements in 7th, Sean McGoldrick in 8th place with Brian McManus in 9th, and Peter McCann, our driver of the day elect, rounding off the top 10. Colin O'Regan is in 11th place with Alexander Milchin in 12th, Lawrence de Sosfer in 13th place with Kevin Joyce in 14th, Tony Stack in 15th place with David Prunty in 16th, Simon Hutchings in 17th place with John McDonald in 18th place, Philip Upson 19th, Stuart Brereton rounding off the top 20, Jamal Gandor in 21st, Gary Corcoran 22nd, Philly Melvin 23rd, Aaron Dalton 24th, Sebastian Scholten 25th, Andrew Murphy 26th, and Gerard Thornton rounding off our 27 drivers heading into tonight's racing action.
Yes, what a fabulous bunch we have here tonight. 11 drivers around Brands Hatch. This could be a very intriguing one, and as we look to head to the group soon, it's going to be Kelly versus Doherty for the win again, Kieran.
It may well be. Well, we'll see how it goes down towards turn 1. It's a very interesting turn 1, that is for sure. but Jordan Kelly has the inside line, so he'll have control heading our way down in towards Paddock Hill Bend, as we'll then make our way up Pilgrim's Rise and in towards Druids, the first real braking zone of the circuit. It's a terrifying corner, Paddock Hill Bend. When you view it at that angle, just shows you how steep the descent really is. I've seen plenty of cars going through into that gravel trap. That gravel trap is very deep. If you catch it at the wrong angle, you can end up flipping. But here we flip and go. It's the first race of the day.
Yes, we have the 5 red lights coming on for the first time here in Brands Hatch. And we go racing. It's Jordan Kelly who gets a good start. Doherty actually getting a great start as well alongside. You can see it's Kelly who is the inside line for Paddock Hill Bend. Ronan Doherty looking to hang it around the outside. Not too many do that successfully. Kelly looking for Doherty I should say, looking for a good run up towards Druids. That's Conor Melia and Rory O'Shea side by side. You can see there, that's O'Shea in the high parade coming out on top. Sean McClements on the outside of Melia now. There's actually a car gone round there, and that is Ronan Doherty who's gone round in the background, as well as one of the McClements. That is a horrible start for Doherty. Not too sure what happened to him there.
It was a little bit clumsy. Yeah, again, not sure what happened because it was just speared exit stage right into the wall then, going down in towards Graham Hill Bend. But I'm sure we'll have another look at it later down the line. Brian McManus, meanwhile, is trying to fend off the attack from Peter McCann and Lawrence de Salzburg right behind him. Peter McCann is up into 7th place, meanwhile, so he's gained 3 positions off the start and making his way, trying to find a way past Brian McManus as we head our way through then. But Jordan Kelly leads the way then. Rory O'Shea in 2nd place. Yeah, it seemed to be Ronan Doherty got caught up. Sean McClements got caught up in an instant, as well as I think Simon Hutchings. We did see someone actually spin round even on the start, finish straight. Let's have another look here involving that instant down towards. Did he get a tag, or was that just a light up of the rear tyres? It's hard to tell from that angle.
Yeah,
we're being told. Yeah, we're being told by
of Ronan Doherty to go off completely under his own accord, especially on the opening lap, and that is Peter McCann, who's gone off in towards Paddock Hill Bend. He's taking a trip to the seaside beach through there, and Lawrence de Salzburg is going to capitalise on that one. This is a battle that we've not ever seen before, I don't think. Peter McCann will definitely be telling me different, because he has seen the rear wing of that Potato Nation Super Formula like many a time this season.
Has indeed, and he'll want to try and get past it, but we know Lawrence de Salzburg doesn't give up a position without a fight, that's for sure. 7th place right now. He's up 6 places from where he started, though. Aaron Dalton, meanwhile, up 10 places, up into 14th at the moment. It's a really good start from Aaron Dalton as he tries to fight his way through the order. Here is Aaron Dalton. He might make it, try and see if he can fend off the attack from Philip Upson. So it's down to 9 up, but still 9 up is pretty good. Peter McCann, though, is dropping down the order. He's dropped 3 positions. That's why, because he spun, I think. That's on the exit of Druids there. He'll try and spin around. No, it looks too high speed to be Druids, actually. That's probably going to be Hawthorne Bend.
Yeah, let's have a look then on the Gantry TV replay. I think it might just be in towards Westfield Bend. Let's have... No, you're...
It's Hawthorne, so it is Westfield. You're right.
Yeah. I thought the local had it over there for a second.
No.
He has a bit much of the inside, hit a bit of the curb on the outside and spun it on his own. Oh, I tell you what, Tony Stack's done a great job to avoid that. And he holds the brakes, and you can see they all just fly through. Terrible position to have your car end up in, because that's right in the racing line. But good job by all involved, I think, to not make that worse than it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Great wherewithal to avoid that one. Listening to the yellow flags, always a very good sign. In the midst of that, though, Jordan Kelly has opened up a 1.8 second lead over Rory O'Shea because he set us lap time last time around 7/10 quicker. Did Jordan Kelly. So he's absolutely flying now, trying to find that rhythm, which he normally can do in these scenarios. He's trying to pull away again, and perhaps it may well be another 119 days before we see anybody not get the pole or not get the first race win of the day. Sean McClements is going to be battling his way back through the field after that little bit of a bumpy start. Down 12 from his starting position, but still got, what's that now? He's got about 6 minutes or so to try and recover some positions. Of course, this is where he will be starting the next race, so he'll really want to try and climb up the order, not only to get the points, but to get a better starting position for race number 2.
Yes, we can see a battle here on your screen. This is between Camto Chukwu and Brian McManus. Oh, sorry, no, Brian McManus and Lawrence de Salzburg. Camto is a little bit up the road. Camto and Brian are in pretty much identical cars, which throws me, and I think it throws Kieran off pretty much every time, because they're...
Every time.
I think it's identical cars almost. I think they're both in VRA race one. I don't know, but this is Lawrence de Souza, and we are on board Lawrence de. Okay, no longer on board Lawrence de Souza, but we were on board with Lawrence de Souza. He's chasing Brian McManus. Good news for Lawrence during the week. He got his strap off his arm. Finley Melvin, I think, is that in the background, who's gone off. It looked like, yeah, it was Finley Melvin who has completely lost it, heading out of Surtees, and that's going to be a trip in towards the arm coat. Disappointing for Finley. He had a good start.
Yeah, it did indeed. We'll just have a look. I'm sure this will be the replay that Finley Melvin will not want us to see once again. But coming out of Graham Hill Bend, then seemed to get that right. He'll make his way now towards the flying left-hander of Surtees. Then we'll get the power down here. He just gets, he just runs too wide onto the grass, collects a bump. You see that, and then straight into the wall. That's rear suspension. In fact, that's the rear wheel gone. Rear suspension damaged. He's out of the race.
Yeah, that is a wrecked Renault, or what's supposed to be a Renault, for Finley Melvin. He unfortunately will play no further part here. This is Tony Stack, as we said, always racing in the race. He is fighting with Alexander Milchin, and it looks like Conor Melia. Melia's dropped down the order a little bit here. He is just looking to try and work his way back in towards the top 10 outside of Tony Stack. Then this is sort of a retro F1 livery battle. It's the Buzz and Hornet Jordan of Tony Stack and what looks like a Williams Martini livery of Conor Melia. That, of course, is Conor Melia's, or looks fairly similar to Conor Melia's real life Formula V. A big shout out to him, of course, picking up the Driver of the Day award for his last round in Mondello. But he's got a job on his hands here to try and get past the Kerryman of Tony Stack, because Tony is not budging for the time being.
He's not budging in that Buzz and Hornet, that is for sure. As Conor Melia will find out the hard way here, it's very difficult to get an overtake done in this flying right-hander section from Hawthorne Bend all the way through Sheens, and now we've had our way now towards Stirling's at this end of the left-hander now. Size this one up. You might be able to get a good run through clearways and towards Clark Curve, using that little bit of toe as well. Looping to the right hand side goes Conor Melia up the inside. He tries to go, but there's a little bit of bump on the inside there. If you catch that wrong, you just lose all of that momentum. You have to go again as we head away across the start finish line down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Have to try and size his way up, see if he can take a better run out of Paddock Hill Bend, up Pilgrim's Rise, and then we'll head towards Druids. Perhaps a launch on here. Not this time. Tony Stack places that car perfectly to hold on to 10th place, at least for now.
Yeah, great defending there. Great battle between the two. I thought Melia was going to lunge one down the inside and towards Graham Hill Bend, but he didn't. A good move. Good defence, I should say, there by Tony Stack, who is looking to take the final top 10 position. Obviously, points go a little bit lower than top 10. It's 30 for a win here in RTA, but you kind of want to finish in the top 10. It's like it's like fourth is one of the worst places to finish. I know Talladega Nights, the movie, said fourth is not that bad, but it really is. You want to finish on the podium. It's like finishing second in the Indy 500. It's not something you ever want to do. Speaking of the Indy 500, Brands Hatch, one of the only circuits in the world to host F1, IndyCar and NASCAR. As we see Conor Melia spin round, he will not be overtaking Tony Stack because he's currently facing the wrong way.
Yeah, in the gravel trap, lost in there as well. We'll get a Gantry TV instant replay of this one. So let's see what happened to Conor Melia as he was trying to chase down that buzzing Hornet of Tony Stack. He'll make his way through in towards the right-hander of Hawthorne Bend. Does he get a little bit too greedy? This might be a carbon copy of what we've seen already in this race. No, he lost that on entry. So he maybe tried to carry a little bit too much speed through on entry. And the back end just said, you're having a laugh. Conor Melia then finding himself on the gravel trap, or the exit there of Westfield Bend.
It's weird, this. There's an awful lot of drivers making their own errors. Usually we'd see it's one driver makes an error and then another gets collected in a big crash, so on and so forth. But tonight we've not seen any big crashes, but we've seen a lot of driver errors. It really goes to show.
Why would you say something like that? You never learn, Evan, for goodness sake. Anyway,
No.
Aaron Dalton.
Reminding me of that one for the next week.
Aaron Dalton here, meanwhile, is trying to defend from Sean McClemens. Sean McClemens on a hard charge through the field after that rocky start. Aaron Dalton up 13 places from where he started. Sean McClemens down 7. And Sean McClemens here trying to size up a move, then maybe heading away in towards the flying left-hander here, going through Stirling's. Then he's got the inside line, and Sean McClemens makes that move look really easy. I promise you, it is not as easy as Sean McClemens made that look. You have to be brave through there and try and carry the momentum through. And meanwhile then, Aaron Dalton is being passed now by Stuart Brereton as we are already onto the final lap of the race. Stuart Brereton has the inside line heading our way through in towards Paddock Hill Bend. He gets that move done then. Aaron Dalton might see if he can have a run up Pilgrim's Rise. Then he launches it then down the inside in towards Druids. He won't get it stopped in time. That allows Brereton to try and get back around the outside. He'll now be on the outside heading our way through in towards Graham Hill Bend. But I tell you what, Aaron Dalton is not letting P12 go without a massive fight. Peter McCann up the inside now as we head our way through. But race leader Jordan Kelly is rounding his way through the final lap.
Dalton is Latin for racecraft. What a move from Aaron Dalton as Jordan Kelly heading through Clark Curve on towards the Brabham Straight. Jordan Kelly, is it safe to say he's returned, folks? Because this will be a Heat 1 win for Kelly, and he puts himself back in the championship fight and a fastest lap to go with that. Rory O'Shea back in second and Dylan McClements in third. God, this is like the start of the season again. But a great drive from Kelly to take the win. It's going to be Sean McClements, or Sean McGoldrick, I should say, comes home in fourth ahead of Camto Chukwa in fifth. This battle continues on between McCann and Dalton, and that is Stuart Brereton right behind. Seems like Aaron Dalton's slick overtaking is going to pay off, but it's McCann to get him on the run towards the line. McCann wants the inside, goes for the outside. Who's got the run here? It's going to be Aaron Dalton, who gets home ahead of Peter McCann and Stuart Brereton. What a fantastic scrap that was in the last lap.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, Peter McCann is no stranger to trying to make a pass on the final lap at the line, that's for sure. He's had plenty of practice of that this season, but Aaron Dalton just about did enough to keep hold of that position for the time being. Great stuff from all involved going into tonight's racing action. Gives us plenty of hope for the next two, as we just see the likes of Simon Hutchings making his way through in towards the line, and also Gary Corcoran, who's making his way round the final corner at Clark Curve to be one of the final finishers in 24th position. But for Jordan Kelly, it's normal business seems to have resumed for Kelly as he takes the first win of the evening.
Yep, it's pole to win, so it's the first of another 119-day stage for Jordan Kelly. He takes the win ahead of Rory O'Shea and Dylan McClements in third, and it is Sean McGoldrick, Camto Chukwa, Brian McManus, Lawrence de Soswa, then it is Conor Melia, Alexander Milchin and Tony Stack rounding out the top 10. Sean McClements then recovering all the way to 11th place, so a brilliant drive to at least recover from that one. And then in 12th place there we have Aaron Dalton fighting his way through the field. Peter McCann in 13th place, Stuart Brereton in 14th with Gerard Thornton in 15th place, Conor Melia in 16th with Andrew Murphy 17th, John McDonald in 18th, Jamal Gandor 19th, Kevin Joyce rounding off the top 20. Yeah, then we look a little bit further down. It's Philip Upson ahead of David Prunty and Simon Hutchings. Then it is Gary Corcoran, Sebastian Schloten. Then ahead of that, I can't read that name, apologies folks, ahead of Finlay Melvin, just below Ronan Doherty, with Finlay Melvin just behind. We're getting ready to go then for the second heat of the evening. 15 minutes if heat one was anything to go by. This one is bound to be a corker. It is two of the three championship protagonists who are starting side by side on the front row of the grid. Jordan Kelly will have the inside towards Paddock Hill Bend, but Rory O'Shea will be trying to thunder round the outside as we go racing for the second time this evening. That's a fantastic start for Rory O'Shea, whose clutch control is impeccable off the line throughout the season. Here at Super Formula Lights, that's Sean McGoldrick. That is Sean McGoldrick who has an issue, and there's the big collision. Oh my goodness me, there's a car gone barrel rolling through the gravel trap of Paddock Hill Bend. Kelly gets away safely, so does O'Shea. We can't really say the same for the rest. No, not at all. Flying through the air, then cartwheeling through the Paddock Hill Bend gravel trap as the start gets a little bit hectic. If we can say it's the big one, that really was the big one. We'll have to see what on earth happened there. Camto Chukwa, Sean McClements caught up in that one, that's for sure. I'm not sure who was catapulting through the air. Aaron Dalton, meanwhile, he's up to 8th place right now. Javan Gandor is up 10 places, up to 9th place right now. Aaron Dalton is having to try and see if he can defend and attack a couple of positions right now. Conor Melia is fighting his way through the field. Big collision in the background. It's a second. It's wave 2 here of big collisions. It's Kevin Joyce and Peter McCann, I think, caught up in that one as well. Certainly Gerard Thornton is falling down the order as well, as Aaron Dalton gets a
heavy amount of oversteer there. Conor Melia round the outside, swooping through round the outside there as he makes his way up a position at the very least. But wow, what a hectic start we've had. Many collisions and many wings have gone flying. Aaron Dalton running slightly wide. That'll open him up to more positions potentially being lost. Stuart Brereton fancies his chances as we see possibly 2-3 wide going in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Now, oh no, we've lost Jamal Gandor's off into the gravel. He's lost the back end and the rear wing as well to boot. Drivers are dropping like flies here in Heat 2.
Yeah, that crash in towards Hawthorne Bend was a car going straight on about what felt like 200 mile an hour. It was a heavy collision for those involved in that. And then we saw Gandor and McDonald both losing it, heading in towards Paddock Hill Bend. I think there was one car in that battle who was blinking down the main straight. I wonder is that Gandor or McDonald, but certainly something was going on. Let's have a look at the Gantry TV instant replay then. Which one is this? Well, this is the one off the start. That's Colin O'Regan. You can see there, just to the right-hand side of your screen. A great start for O'Shea and McDonald. They were side by side in towards the first corner. Then McDonald lost it, spun across the track, in towards a couple of cars. Oh, and there we go. There goes O'Regan. Oh, yeah, a bit of whiplash there, maybe, heading for the gravel trap. That was Sean McClements at fault as well. That was McClements who was the one who barrel rolled, we're hearing in our ear. But Kieran, a couple of nasty collisions it seems. Thankfully, this is sim racing.
Yes, thankfully so. Yeah, it just looked like Sean McClements had the spin there, and it obviously caused the Constantina, and unfortunately, Sean McClements was the unfortunate bystander here. Kevin Joyce then tried to go 3 wide here as we made our way through in towards this flying right-hander. Initially, it worked seemingly well, and then just absolutely nothing he could do about that one. Focused all on his own here, and then all of a sudden there's a car that's just laying across the track. Absolutely no chance for Kevin Joyce to avoid that one.
Yeah, that was an insane crash, a really peculiar one of that as well. But there's a load of cars gone out there and a very much big grid shuffle. As we look at the order, it's Kelly O'Shea, McClements, Lawrence de Salzwa in 4th. He will be delighted with how this one's gone. And then there's the fellow Potato Nation driver of Alexander Milchin behind. Then it's Stack, Melia, Doherty, Dalton, Hutchings. That is your running order there. Stuart Brereton up to 11th spot, 3 spots. And then Finlay Melvin is up 15 to P12, Kieran. He's a man who's capitalised on this nicely.
Yeah, he really has. He struggled in the first one, of course. He had that retirement when he spun up the rear tyres on the extra 30s in the race before, so he's very much keen and eager to make up some lost ground and some lost points from race number 1. Rory O'Shea and Dylan McClements here might have a bit of a battle on their hands here, heading our way down in towards Paddock Hill Bend. They've pretty much matched each other, I should say, for lap time on the previous occasion. 1 minute 15.6 from both of them. Compare that to Jordan Kelly's 1 minute 14.7. Is that 9/10 of a second quicker than the two of these on that last lap alone? Dylan McClements, though, all eyes on second place. If you're picking up grass there, Rory O'Shea, the cameras would definitely catch you. But Rory O'Shea here having to defend from Dylan McClements as we get back onto the power out of Surtees and we head away towards Pilgrim's Drop. Dylan McClements will have a little bit of a tow here. Might be slightly too far back on this occasion to do anything about that in towards Hawthorne Bend, but definitely close enough to just fill up the rear mirrors of Rory O'Shea and remind him he's here.
Yeah, Dylan McClements is usually very good around sort of these British racing circuits. He is an ace at Donington Park. Here's Conor Melia and Tony Stack battling. I think this is a battle we saw in the first heat. It's for a much higher points-paying position here in this one. This is Ronan Doherty looking to go down the inside of Tony Stack. That's a great move by Ronan Doherty, and I've got to say fair play to Tony for leaving adequate space there on the inside. Sheen Curve is not an easy corner to dive down the inside. That's another one for myself where I've probably seen the grass on the exit of it more time than I've seen the actual corner. Thankfully, Doherty and Stack have not, and that was an efficient move. Aaron Dalton has been a man who's probably got the most screen time of his RTA Virtual Motorsport career. He's had a couple of very intriguing battles. Simon Hutchings is going to be the next man to try and attack Dalton in towards Paddock Hill Bend, and Hutchings laying on the brakes. Dalton runs it a little bit wide, and that will be Simon Hutchings up and ahead. Great move by the Welshman.
Yeah, it's so scary then when you come in towards Paddock Hill Bend and you're having to react there for a car down the inside. Always a scary one and a sketchy one at the best of times there. But both of them made it through, and that's the most important thing. Simon Hutchings now up to 9th place. But here comes Aaron Dalton back down the inside as we make our way towards Surtees once again. But there's contact this time. Aaron Dalton is around, and the mid part there of Surtees, he'll have to get the power down once again and back up. Oh, he's spun the rear tyres up again on the grass. So he'll have to see we try and get back onto the tarmac and get back onto the throttle once again, now down to P16. But that's allowed Simon Hutchings to be relieved of the pressure, at least for now. But Stuart Brereton is right behind Simon Hutchings in that battle for position. Conor Melia and Ronan Doherty might have wanted this battle to be a little bit further up the order. Nevertheless, it's a battle for 6th place.
It is a battle for 6th place, and it is a battle that is going to be one to watch. This is Melia versus Doherty. I know I mentioned this a lot, but two men who are very good in a Formula V car. Are they good in Super Formula Lights? Yes, we know that. And Ronan Doherty will be feeling like he's the better of the two, because he made that one look really easy. Myself and Kieran know, and you know, probably know too at home, a dive down the inside like that into his paddock hill bend is certainly not easy. So a great move there by Doherty, I think.
Yeah, and you've got to have full faith in the opposite driver who you're trying to make move down the inside of. That, of course, is making sure that you've actually the movers on in the first place, because it can so easily become an airplane crash, especially in these Super Formula Lights. We've already seen an airplane crash. Poor Sean McClemens barrel rolling like there was no tomorrow out of this race. Obviously, you do get a quick fix in iRacing in this series, so they are still running around, but all a lap down at this moment in time. Let's have an instant replay here.
Yeah, this is the Aaron Dalton incident, it seems. So this is down towards Graham Hill Bend and down towards Surtees. He's looking for a move on the car on the inside, and you can see there just brakes for it, and a bit of a chop of the front wheel. Dalton goes sent spinning onto the Indy part of the circuit. Kieran, I'm not sure what you make of that one.
Yeah, I think he had the right to be on the inside there, did Aaron Dalton. But I think that one will go to the stewards. I mean, it's a difficult corner to try and get a move down the inside. I mean, we say that a lot about a lot of these corners, but I think he had every right to be down the inside there. It's not like he launched it from miles back.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. I think he had a right to the inside there, but it was a difficult move. So the stewards will certainly have a look at that one. But we carry on, and Jordan Kelly is certainly carrying on up the road, about 3.8 seconds ahead of Rory O'Shea now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, Kieran.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Can we get 2 hat-tricks in 2 weeks?
Oh, he's done it now. Jordan Kelly will be hating you for that one. He will be absolutely hating you for that one. Well, I mean, no comment from me. No comment. But Rory O'Shea is trying to extend his lead. Rory O'Shea just ahead of Dylan McClements then by about 3/4 of a second at the last sort of relative time. But yeah, Rory O'Shea just hanging on to 2nd place. Lawrence de Sosvet in 4th place. Alexander Milchin is in 5th place. How about Ronan Doherty then? Of course, didn't have the greatest race so far. We know he's a quick driver, but still now up into 6th place, up 20 positions. Now, of course, that hectic start in sort of 2 corners really on the first lap helped him majorly with that, but you still have to negotiate your way through that hectic, that chaos, and to emerge in 6th place right now, I think he'll be very, very happy so far. If he stays in this position, he'll be 3rd, pride and proper for the reverse grid race. But we know Ronan Doherty, he's not going to be happy with 6th. He's not going to be happy with 3rd place on the reverse grid. He's chasing down Alexander Milchin. What's his lap times compared to? He lapped a second quicker on that last lap compared to Milchin. He's got that fire underneath him.
Yeah, and if you know Ronan Doherty, or you've ever listened to one of Ronan Doherty's interviews, you'll know that he's a very sort of calm and composed fellow. We'll speak, if we do speak to him after this, it'll just be, well, it was only 20 positions or something like that. He's very, very composed and sort of does not get ahead of himself. And it works in his favour from time to time, because he can cut through the field like this, and it's just another position, isn't it? Oh, I've only gained 21 billion positions. And that's how Ronan Doherty takes things, but he takes them in his stride at the same time, and that's why he's up 20 spots to 6th place in this one. Dylan McClements, another man who is very mature when it comes to the racing circuit. He's hunting down Rory O'Shea, a man who we've not really considered in the championship fight would be Dylan McClements, but he's always been up there, and he is looking to try and take 2nd position. Fastest lap of the race for Jordan Kelly, though. He's not slowing down anytime soon.
Not in the slightest. 1 minute 14.2 from Jordan Kelly. That's compared to Rory O'Shea's 14.9 last time around. Dylan McClements we're riding on the front wing of as we head our way through in towards Graham Hill Bend. Down the Cooper Straight we will go, and towards Surtees, and this flying left-hander that we start to climb uphill. Dylan McClements starts to close in on Rory O'Shea, but there's a couple of lines you can actually take through in towards Surtees there. But now we make our way down Pilgrim's Drop. Dylan McClements were riding on board with perhaps just waiting for the perfect opportunity to try and move on Rory O'Shea. For now, though, he's happy to stay behind as Ronan Doherty, down the inside. In fact, he got that move done just before Hawthorne Bend. He gets the move done on Alexander Milchin. Ronan Doherty is up into 5th place. And what he was saying last week, of course, as we see Finlay Melvin make his way up a position then, so he's up 18 places now ahead of Simon Hutchings. The scary thing about Ronan Doherty we heard from last week is that at Imola, at an absolutely soaking wet track, he said, I'm at 80% pace here, and was just pulling away like it was easy. If that was 80% of his power, I think we should be fearful of what 100% of his power is.
Yeah, he was 80% in the most treacherous conditions, potentially in the 4-year league history. He had barely bought the track in Portimao when he came there and was quick. So he's a force to be reckoned with on his day, is Ronan Doherty, and he's certainly looking to try and attack Lawrence de Soswa now and gain as much as he can. We're about 11 minutes and 45 seconds into this one here, folks, out of the 15, so we still have a few laps to go. It is only just under the 4-kilometre circuit here at Brands Hatch, so the lap times are fairly quick. This is Rory O'Shea looking back at Dylan McClements, and now how is McClements going to tee this one up? He's going to go for a move around the outside in towards the fast right-hander. This is going to be a brave move if Dylan McClements can pull it off. No, he can't, just sits behind for the time being. The big overtaking opportunities around Brands Hatch are kind of in the first sector. You have to just do your job to hold on behind the car in front here, heading through the middle and final sector. You see that coming up to the Sheen curve and down towards Stirling's. Many a driver will lose it in the dirty air, or maybe might pick up a bit of grass and lose all their momentum. Dylan McClements hasn't done that so far, and as he heads in towards the Clark curve, he might just maybe be close enough down towards Paddock Hill Bend. It's not a long straight here. We know these Super Formula cars can pick up a tow from about a second back, but it is not a long straight to capitalise on. Turn number 2 is almost a better overtaking opportunity than the main straight, because you carry your momentum out of Paddock Hill Bend, but we're looking a little bit further back. This is this man we were speaking about, Ronan Doherty. He's close in a second like it is nobody's business, and he's going to try and pick an attack on Lawrence de Soswa.
Yeah, as you were saying there, Paddock Hill Bend seems like a corner that if you're chasing, you're happy to sacrifice your entry into that corner to get the perfect exit and the great run up towards Pilgrim's Rise to give you that move in towards Druids, which is the heavy braking zone. It's the heaviest braking zone on the circuit. So if you're going to make a move, it's most likely going to be there. Lawrence de Soswa then will have Ronan Doherty in his rear view mirrors. Leon Marcon Amelia. Oh, there's Dylan McClements there. That's someone exiting stage right there. Dylan McClements.
Rory O'Shea.
It is Rory O'Shea, you're right. So it's a battle for second place that has ended in misery, absolute misery for Rory O'Shea.
And that could be a championship deciding incident for Rory O'Shea, because he's a man who needs some points. Let's have a look then at this one. We're heading down towards Pilgrim's Drop. It is Rory O'Shea in front of Dylan McClements. Rory in the blue and yellow, Dylan in the Irish coloured car behind. This was the move he sort of telegraphed on the last lap, and there goes McClements. Oh, that's a high-speed impact for Rory O'Shea, but I'm not sure the stewards will like that move.
Yeah, too wide going through and towards Hawthorne Bend. A lot of trust has to be put into the other driver, that is for sure. But yeah, the two colliding there. I will not be surprised to see that go towards the stewards then. Let's see Ronan Doherty as he making his way through, trying to chase down Lawrence de Soswa. As then he made his way past Rory O'Shea then. So this now becomes the battle for third place, which I believe Ronan Doherty gets his move then. So he says, here's how it's done, down the inside, going through in towards one of the fast parts of the circuit. Both of them running onto the grass there on the exit of Sheens. If they both run onto the grass, it's fine, it cancels out.
Because they've got run wide, there's no track limits. Well, I'm sure the agree they might have put 1x, but he looked like he was losing it, making the overtake. And the Soswa both made mistakes in towards Westfield Bend and in towards Sheen Curve, but they both recovered well. Doherty recovering more. But here we go. It is going to be Jordan Kelly who takes the second win of the evening. It's been a hectic 15 minutes. Kelly sort of goes across the line unnoticed to all because he just drove away from. Clements will come home in second. It had Ronan Doherty in third. Then it'll be Lawrence in fourth. I tell you what, he'll be chuffed with that Lawrence, considering he's getting off the back of an injury. He's led the race again, he said on social media channel, and he's racing well. And then there's Conor Melly, Alexander Milchan in Finlay. I tell you what, Finlay, what a recovery.
What a recovery indeed to finish up in 7th place there. Simon Hutchings in 8th place with Tony Stack in 9th. Philip Hudson rounding off the top 10. And then it's Stuart Brereton in 11th place. There's Peter McCann then across the line in 14th position. Ahead of him is Sean McGoldrick 13th. Brian McManus 12th. And I think I mentioned Stuart Brereton in 11th place as Peter McCann does a little bit of a spin down in towards Paddock Hill Bend I'm sure, to just vent off a little bit of frustration with the race that has proceeded with him there. Aaron Dalton, meanwhile, is running on 3 wheels. But just like Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone, he's going to limp his way across the line to pick up 17th place. I don't think there's anything against it in the regulations to bring a slightly broken and knackered suspension across the line. Nevertheless, though, Aaron Dalton does bring it across the line, bring it to a stop. Jordan Kelly takes the victory here then for the second race at Brands Hatch, with Ronan Doherty in second place, Rory O'Shea rounding off the top 3, with Lawrence de Sousa picking up 4th place, Conor Miller in 5th place there.
Rory O'Shea did not round off the top 3. Rory O'Shea
have I got the wrong...
Yeah,
okay.
Jordan Kelly takes the win over Dylan McClemens and Ronan Doherty.
You know what? It sounded better in my head. You know what? Take it away then, Evan. You can do this. This is not my forte.
Us all off because Ronan Doherty joined the interview room for some reason. We don't know why. Well, we rented out that one. Yeah, there's DeSalsa in 4th, Melia in 5th, Mielchin in 6th, Melvin in 7th, Simon Hutchings in 8th, Jack in 9th, and Philip Upson in 10th.
Oh, right, let me see if I can get this bit right. Bear with me. Breathe, Kieran. You can do this. You've been doing this your whole life.
Shocking itself.
Oh, no. Stuart Brereton in 11th. Did I get that right?
You did, yeah. Well done.
Okay. Brian McManus 12th.
Oh,
I won't do this charade. 13th place, Sean McGoldrick. 14th place, Peter McCann, with David Prunty in 15th. Sebastian Scholten in 16th place. Aaron Dalton, I believe, one of the last to finish on the lead lap, albeit with 3 bits of suspension rather than 4 attached to his car, in 17th place. Gary Corcoran in 18th place. Conor O'Regan in 19th. Sean McClements rounding off the top 20.
Yeah, then we look a little bit further down, rounding off the top 20. We do have... sorry, my timing screen is being set. But on the graphic, we have, it looks like Sean McClements, Camto Chukwa, then ahead of Gerard Thornton, Rory O'Shea, Andrew Murphy, Jamal Gandor, and John McDonald. Right, let's have a few quick interviews then, shall we? We didn't hear from this man last week, so we're going to hear from him again. It is your double race winner here in Brands Hatch. It is Mr. Jordan Kelly, who we will hear from first. Jordan, nice to have you back with us. We didn't have you last week for the first time in forever, but... You're certainly back. That's 2 wins in the trot, and it looked like you sort of coasted around for them.
Yeah, I remember from the GT4 series, I felt really comfortable around here, so I knew that if I got my head down, I'd be able to do consistent laps, which wasn't going well last night. There was a lot of crashing involved, but I find like if you push over the limit in practice, you can tone it down a bit for the race. So no, it's going well. So it'll be interesting now the reverse grid, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, in terms of that reverse grid, you certainly have the pace. So what's the biggest challenge here?
From the looks of it from behind, there's a lot of crashes in the first lap, so gonna have to stay out of that mess. But probably try and go as slow as I can in the first lap, hopefully, and hopefully there won't be too much carnage behind or in front or anything. But we'll see how it goes. It'll be a spicy one.
Then, in terms of the championship. Obviously, we can talk about this more after if we do speak to you, but you needed sort of big points this week. You're currently getting them. Are you happy with how it's going so far?
Yeah, I think I just need to get a good finish now, and just building up points from last week. It just was a disaster altogether. So we don't want to repeat of that.
Jordan, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Will do.
Now over to Kieran McGinley and Dylan McClements, although I am realising it seems to be me interviewing Jordan every week and you interviewing Dylan. Apologies there, Kieran is on mute. So
I am. There we go. I'm absolutely falling apart here. Dylan will get bored of my voice. That's why I had to mute myself, because Dylan's bored of me. Dylan, welcome along to the stream. I guess the first question is going to be yourself and Rory O'Shea. It's the first question I'm going to ask. What was it from your point of view?
You see, I was trying to get past him coming towards the last couple of laps, and once I made that move, I had no idea where it was, and I haven't looked over it yet, but I'm not sure who's at fault, but we'll see in the incident review.
Well, at the moment, then, you have a 3rd place and a 2nd place from tonight. Brands Hatch is treating you well. What's the chances, then, for a place on the top spot in the 3rd race tonight?
So I gotta stop. There's been a lot of carnage the first couple of laps, so I'll have to keep my eye on that and try to stay as clean as possible and pick up no damage, and hopefully try to get first as quick as possible and maybe maintain that throughout the race.
And of course, there's obviously a bit of sibling rivalry going into tonight. Then you were ahead of, I believe you were ahead of Sean in the standings. Then you were top 5, I think, coming into tonight's proceedings as well. A good stack of points so far. So how's the season been heading into what will be the last race tonight and the next two?
See, for championship wise and for the next race, I'm looking to grab as much points as possible and try, gain some more places in the championship. But drop runs I have to keep an eye on just in case if anything looks good, but then drop runs come into place.
Dylan, thank you very much for talking to us, and we'll hand you back now to start your race.
Right, see it.
And have we got time, Evan, for one more?
No, don't believe we do.
No.
We are going straight to the grid for Brands Hatch. We'll get some more interviews after, folks. Don't worry. We will be hearing for more of the drivers, but it is Hutchings and Melvin on the front row, ahead of Mielchen and Melia.
Absolutely. Lawrence de Sauce in 5th place, then Ronan Doherty in 6th place, Dylan McClements in 7th, Jordan Kelly rounding off the top 8. Tony Stack will feel a little bit hard done by, but he starts tonight. Philip Upson routes out the top 10.
Yeah, then we look a little bit further back. It is going to be Burton, McManus, McGoldrick, McCann, Prunty, Schloten, Dalton, Corcoran, O'Regan, McClements, Chukwua, Joyce, Thornton, O'Shea, Murphy, Gandor, and John McDonnell. This is bound to be an interesting one, Kieran.
If the first lap of race 2 gave us anything, first lap of that lap 3 will be very interesting with the top 8 completely reversed. Over to you, Evan.
Yes, we are going to be going racing very shortly for heat number 3. It's going to be Simon Hutchings and Finlay Melvin who start in the front row. They're two drivers who had monstrous comebacks in the second heat, gaining almost 20 positions each. But the red lights are getting ready to go. We've had a little bit of a break from heat 2, but the action will be back here in heat number 3 as Ireland's #1 sim racing championship goes racing at Brands Hatch. That's a great start from Simon Hutchings in towards the first corner. Finlay Melvin stays behind for the time being. Mielchen side by side with Melia up Pilgrim's Rise, and in towards Druids is going to be Conor Melia, who hangs it round the outside here and takes 3rd place.
Oh, Finlay Melvin's off though, off into the wall at Druids then. I don't know if he ran too deep into there, but he was definitely hugging right up close to the tyre wall there. Jordan Kelly then is trying to make his way through the field. He's up into 7th place and looking for a move down the inside of Lawrence de Sosva here as we head our way through in towards Surtees. Then back onto the power we go then. So Jordan Kelly's trying to make his way through the order. He's already up to 6th place.
Yes, and we see Kelly, he's going to try hunt down Dylan McClements, but first has to defend from Lawrence de Soswa. De Soswa doesn't quite get the run on Jordan Kelly. Sean McGoldrick, a man who didn't really play a part in heat number 2, is looking to get the job done here in heat number 3. There goes Dylan McClements past Alexander Mielchen. There's a bit of a blink for one of those two cars. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But Jordan Kelly is going to follow suit here in towards turn number 7. A great move for the man who's looking to be a back-to-back champion in RTA. Tony Stack getting past Brian McManus down towards the Clark curve. This has been a hectic but intriguing opening lap.
Yeah, hasn't it just then, as Brian McManus swoops his way round the outside of Tony Stack, then up into 8th place goes Brian McManus. Very nice move. Meanwhile then, Ronan Doherty down the inside of Conor Melia, where they collide down in towards Paddock Hill Bend, and both of them, I'm sure, will take huge damage there as Conor Melia tries to get his way back out onto the track then, but Ronan Doherty on the roll hoop there has made his way and towing his way back to the pit lane. Massive, massive implications there for Ronan Doherty. That is absolutely the last thing he wanted, as Simon Hutchings finds himself in slightly the Armco there on the exit of Graham Hill Bend.
Championship leader and race leader both going round on the same lap here in RTA Virtual Motorsport. Hat-trick hero to absolute 0 for Ronan Doherty. He will not be scoring big points here other than that good performance in heat number 2, and that might take him out of contention heading into the final 2 rounds of the season, because Kelly is in 2nd and O'Shea is way down. What a feeling this must be for Jordan Kelly, considering he said last week wasn't good enough. This week is oh so much better. He's ahead of Mielchen, chasing down Dylan McClements. We saw McClements with great pace in heat number 1 and 2, but it wasn't much to match Kelly. This could be a hat-trick for Jordan Kelly, but I don't want to get ahead of myself too early. Jamal Gandor making some moves in the background. He's up to what looks like it's 17th place.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan McClements then setting the fastest lap of the race then, 1 minute 15.3. But of course, we're not long into this race, so that's understandable. Lawrence de Sosva then maybe was sizing up a move on Alexander Milchin for a place on the podium spots right now. But Alexander Milchin just hanging on to that position for now, heading away now down in towards Graham Hill Bend, getting back onto the power then. De Sosva will try to keep the pressure up. He's got Brian McManus and Sean McGoldrick behind him just to keep him close company. Tony Stack is there as well. Finley Melvin, I would have liked to see what happened to Finley Melvin, whether he overcooked it down in towards Druids on the first lap, because he was all the way into the tyre wall on the very first lap. Nevertheless, though, he's going to have to try and fight his way through the field then, as there is Stuart Brereton, who's trying to find his way down the inside of Finley Melvin. Not this time. We've seen plenty of moves go wrong like that, but Peter McCann takes full advantage of that one. He says to Stuart Brereton, if you lose momentum like that, I'm just easily going to take that P9 off you. Peter McCann up to 9th.
Yeah, great move there from Peter McCann, getting up the order. We didn't really see much of him, in the last heat after his spin in heat number 1, but he's certainly getting back up there now in towards the top 10. Here's Milchin versus de Sosva, streamer versus supporter, but two equally good racing drivers down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Alexander Milchin in front, Lawrence de Sosva behind. De Sosva pits the pivot of his attack to the outside, but Milchin defends nicely. De Sosva a little bit out of shape coming out of Paddock Hill Bend, but he will stay close, heading in towards the end of the first sector, start of the middle sector. This could be a very intriguing battle with Brian McManus and Sean McGoldrick looking to get involved. It's a four-way fight for the podium places.
Yeah, Brian McManus just had to be a little bit careful then on the exit coming out of Druids there. You do not want to be on the grass there. We've seen a couple of drivers be caught out by the grass, by the bump there, and a lack of grip. Sean McGoldrick then is all over Brian McManus then, looking for a move down the inside as we head away towards Hawthorne Bend. He's got the inside line there, has Sean McGoldrick, and takes away 5th place there from Brian McManus, makes his way through. Meanwhile, Peter McCann is trying to find a way past Finley Melvin in the background. McCann up the inside through in towards Westfield Bend then, and gets that move done. Tony Stack now sees the open door, tries to go through it, but we've got a car off, and that's Brian McManus. Brian McManus is off into the gravel.
Yes, very disappointing for Brian McManus, who spins it heading out of Sheen Curve, and now he's got a whole gaggle of cars coming up upon him. Gets back up to speed just at the right time. That's Jared Thornton, it looks like, who's right behind, as well as Conor Melia. Very disappointing for Brian McManus, who goes spinning out. It looked like he went under his own accord, but we'll have to find out about that one after the race. Here's Tony Stack now, who is kind of in a world of his own. He has plenty of cars in front and plenty behind. That's a move from Aaron Dalton behind there. Or sorry, Kevin Joyce on Aaron Dalton, I should say. Aaron Dalton involved in the fight. Rory O'Shea as well is looking to try and move up the field to keep his championship alive. Bit of wheel banging. Robin is racing. He's steady, but that's not rubbing. That's in the air for Aaron Dalton. And he has been clipped by Rory O'Shea in towards the grass patch on the exit of the Graham Hill Bend. I tell you what, Kieran, the stewards might take a look at that.
I think they will, and Rory O'Shea, meanwhile, then will carry on his merry way to try and find a way past Kevin Joyce for 10th place then, as we make our way towards the Hawthorne Bend. There's Kamto Chokwa trying to see if he can find a way through as well. Been a quiet evening for Kamto, unfortunately, but we'll see if he can find a way back up the order and into some serious points later on in this race. Battle for the lead, though. These two have been swapping fastest lap times then. Dylan McClements currently holds on to that one with his last lap of a 14.594, but Jordan Kelly is right up close and personal right now, and he takes the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. 1 minute 14.297 from Jordan Kelly on the last tour of Brands Hatch then. Dylan McClements has to go a little bit defensive then in towards Druids. He gets back onto the power as we make our way and descend down towards Graham Hill Bend. Dylan McClements leading Jordan Kelly right now.
Yes, the 12-time GT4 Cup winner, Jordan Kelly, is being kept at bay by Dylan McClements. Dylan's the first man to do so. Speaking of RTA winners, Rory O'Shea cutting through the field again after that incident. He's currently in 10th place, but the last thing he needs is points being taken off him. And that could be what happened if the stewards deem him at fault. Here's Kamto Chokwa looking to try and get past Kevin Joyce, but the battle up the front is as close as ever. We can't really take our eyes off this one. This could be very intriguing. We will, though, because Sean McGoldrick and Alexander Milchin are side by side. McGoldrick just ahead of the German driver.
Absolutely, Sean McGoldrick makes his way up into the podium positions, making his way through that Westfield Bend. Milchin now has to stay focused. He runs a little bit wide, going through in towards Sheens there. That allows Lawrence de Sosva to take a much better line, going through in towards Sterling's here. They are going to draw side by side in this battle for 4th place now. Milchin on the inside, de Sosva round the outside he goes. going through in towards Clark Curve and takes over 4th place then. So Alexander Milchen out of shape, and Lawrence de Sosva takes full advantage and takes 4th place to boot.
Yeah, great move, Lawrence de Sosva. He's had a fantastic evening by his standards, and he took 4th, I believe, in the second heat, looking to take maybe even a podium here if he can catch up to Sean McGoldrick in front. Bit of movement in the background as well. O'Shea gets past Brereton. That seems to be a fairly simple move for O'Shea. I think Brereton knows that's not his fight, because Stewart is on for a fantastic evening if he can take another top result. But up the front, Dylan McClements is still holding Jordan Kelly behind Kieran. When is Kelly going to go for the move?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those where, as you said in the previous race, many of the overtaking opportunities, especially when you're at the top like this, are going to be in the first sectors of this lap. So you're looking at Druids as probably the best overtaking opportunity. But Jordan Kelly all over the rear diffuser now of Dylan McClements, possibly looking for an inside move into towards Clark Curve. But the ever-experienced Jordan Kelly realises that's not the place to go for it. Using the toe then as we head away down the Brabham Straight and towards Paddock Hill Bend. This again will be a place where Jordan Kelly just thinks about a move, maybe trying to prioritise a better exit out of Paddock Hill Bend, up Pilgrim's Ride and towards Druids, but Dylan McClements covers him off for now. McClements doing a good job here of keeping Jordan Kelly behind, but if he makes mistakes like that, Dylan McClements, by getting a rear wheel on the curb and almost losing the back end, that's just like blood to a shark for Jordan Kelly. He'll be all over him now.
Yes, Jordan Kelly now sees the opportunity open as they head on towards Pilgrim's Drop and down towards the Hawthorne Bend. This is where it, I suppose, sort of went wrong for McClements in the last heat. He was involved in an incident with O'Shea, managed to carry on though and taking home 2nd place. Kelly not close enough to go for that move. It seems like that corner is McClements' favourite overtaking spot. Kelly doesn't really have one because he hasn't had to make an overtake in either of the first 2 heats. This heat 3, the reverse grid one, is where he's had to do the moving, and got past the rest of the grid fairly quickly, but he's had a lot of time to think about this one. Down towards the final corner then, and up towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. Kelly just seems to be getting closer into this corner every single lap, and that bodes nicely up the straight and down towards Paddock Hill Bend. This is where McClements now, for the first time really, has to take a defensive approach, because Kelly is getting closer. No purple laps from either this time, but still so quick. Is Kelly going to be able to lunge it down the inside in towards Druids? No, McClements stays in front for the time being, and it does seem though that this is inevitable.
Well, you say that. Jordan Kelly almost got a rear tyre into the gravel there. I think he did actually kick up a little bit of gravel in the exit of Paddock Hill Bend, so very lucky. I've seen cars get away with not much less than that. And managed to live to tell the tale. Jordan Kelly, meanwhile, right into the slipstream of Dylan McClements as we make our way now down Pilgrim's Drop and towards Hawthorne Bend. And once again, Dylan McClements can try and just hold the line he wants as Jordan Kelly runs wide onto the grass. Both our top runners here feeling the pressure as we're past the halfway stage of our final race of the evening there. We have 9 minutes on the clock. Dylan McClements versus Jordan Kelly is well underway, as that is Tony Stack and Kevin Joyce doing battle going through the, I think that was Hawthorne Bend there, but Tony Stack through Westfield, managing to hold on to that position right now for 8th place.
Tony Stack has had a fabulous evening in wheel-to-wheel battles. He has really excelled in them, and you can see he is just ahead of Kevin Joyce, who goes off the circuit, and into the wall goes Kevin Joyce. Tony Stack definitely ahead now as Kevin Joyce goes falling down the order. Very disappointing for Kevin Joyce, who is picking up a good result there in that position, I think just behind Tony Stack and ahead of Campto Chukwuka. That'll promote Chukwuka and everyone behind the place, because Joyce is off the road. Disappointing end to the evening maybe for Kevin, but it seems to be a mistake all on his own. Maybe touched the grass on the entrance, and that is sort of an invitation to the wall.
Campto Chukwuka then moves up a position in all of that, so he's up 12 places now from when we started this race. So up into 9th place he goes. Lawrence de Sosva, meanwhile, trying to pull a gap over Alexander Milchen. The gap is around 1.3 seconds at this moment in time. Milchen, though, finds himself under pressure from Peter McCann in a battle for 5th place. Around half a second between them right now, as Peter McCann runs slightly wide, and I think Peter will have some choice words for me in terms of including commentator's curse for that one. battle for the lead then. Let's focus on that, and let's let Peter McCann focus on his race as Dylan McClements tries to hold off Jordan Kelly then as we head our way past the halfway stage. Jordan Kelly trying to size up a move. Again, Dylan McClements taking that defensive line, heading our way through Paddock Hill Bend. And now up Pilgrim's Rise we'll go towards Druids. And again, Dylan McClements trying to turn in slightly earlier to just ward off that potential move down the inside for Jordan Kelly.
Peter McCann kind of has choice words for everyone, really, so I wouldn't take it seriously, Kieran. But Dylan McClements doing a great job nonetheless, as is Alexander Milchin. He does have the man we were just speaking of, Peter McCann, right behind, and McCann will be encouraging Milchin to make a mistake. He'll be looking to try and get past very soon, and maybe a move down towards Hawthorne Bend. Doesn't go for it earlier. McCann has seen that this corner is not a good overtaking opportunity. He'll tuck into the slipstream of Milchin in front, and he will try to get past come the end of this downhill straight in towards the long right-hander then. McCann on the inside, Milchin on the outside. Peter McCann gets in front, and that's an excellent move indeed. Milchin didn't look like he had a chance there, but now dives it back down the inside. Milchin! Oh my goodness me, I thought there was going to be contact through there. Both drivers hang it round the outside. Exceptional racing between Peter McCann and Alexander Milchin. And battles like that go to show why this is Ireland's best series.
Ooh, just a touch nervy there going through Sheens, weren't we? That was a fair play. Great respect from both drivers to each other. Peter McCann moves up now into 5th place as Jordan Kelly, I think, had a slight lock-up going in towards Druids there, so that washed him out slightly wide. Dylan McClements still leading this one with less than 6 minutes on the clock. Jordan Kelly in 2nd place, and it's that thing again you were talking about, Evan. Jordan Kelly has led both races from start to finish. He hasn't had to worry about overtaking anybody until the race 3 tonight. He's managed to dispatch of 6 drivers, but there's one just driver he can't dispatch of to try and get that hat-trick of victories. It's Dylan McClements.
Yes, Dylan, he was quick in heat number 1 and heat number 2. He's been quick across his RTA career. But this is another level. This is just composure from the young man, and he is holding his own here on the famous Brands Hatch racing facility, and it's Kelly the one making the mistakes here. He's still closer, probably has the pace in hand, but he is just still looking like he's going to make that move on Dylan McClements down the start-finish straight. We have 15 minutes out of 20 completed. The time is ticking for Kelly. He senses this and goes for the move down towards Paddock Hill Bend, but that was never on in a million years, and Dylan McClements survives down towards Druids.
Yeah, it's less surviving, it's actually coping really, isn't it? He's doing a really good job, is Dylan McClements right now, heading our way through in towards Graham Hill Bend. But always, when Jordan Kelly was thinking about that move down the inside, he always was going to compromise his run through Paddock Hill Bend. And in a sense there, Dylan McClements knew that. So he was able to still take his defensive line in towards Druids and didn't really have to worry about a potential attack from Jordan Kelly that time around. But as we make our way towards Hawthorne Bend, again, Dylan McClements able to comfortably take his line, the line he wants to do, which of course if you're doing that you're not losing a lot of time. So when you have to start going defensive here, Dylan McClements maybe just kicking up a little bit of grass there through Westfield Bend, and I think actually got slightly out of shape there, so had to do a little bit of a correction as we head away now in towards Stirling's here. Dylan McClements is certainly feeling the pressure of Jordan Kelly, but both of these drivers are not without their little mistakes in this final heat.
No, they're not, and I tell you what, it just looks so close through that final corner every time between Kelly and McClements down towards the first corner. You can tell these two are both pushing. Is Kelly going to go for it again? No, McClements holds off, and that seems to have compromised Kelly's run once again. I wonder, is he picking his points of attack correctly here? Is there better corners that Kelly could go for this in order to have a better chance of making the move? Because whenever he goes for it in towards Paddock Hills Bend, and this is not just me saying this because I said it earlier, he does compromise his run towards Druids.
Yeah, and that's all that's doing is playing into Dylan McClements' hands. As long as Jordan Kelly keeps doing that, that's exactly what Dylan needs, because that compromises Jordan's run up towards Druids. Meanwhile, then Tony Stack trying to battle away there with Conor Melia. And Melia finds his move down the inside there, gets the move done. Meanwhile, I think that's Colin O'Regan who's trying to find his way through as well. In fact, that might be that might be a bit of traffic, a bit of lap traffic trying to find its way through the order. That might actually be Sean McClements trying to find his way through the order. So he's not actually racing any of these guys. He's not on the same lap. It is Sean McClements. He's still having fun out there.
That's a fantastic call, Kieran. Have you ever considered becoming a spotter?
No, I can't get standings right. We'll look past Heat 2.
A spotter is supposed to just hold your line, car on the left, but speaking of car on the left, Kelly has not really got to the left of Dylan McClements. It seems like is that Sean McGoldrick that's just headed into the pit lane, or he certainly dropped down the order. We'll have to try. Yeah, it is Sean McGoldrick. I was going to say we have to get a report on that, but Ronan Hederman behind the scenes, well ahead of that one. Kelly's made a bit of a mistake here. He's a little bit further behind. Is this sort of the point where this could become a possibility for Dylan, Kieran?
Well, I mean, it's not over till it's over. We know Jordan Kelly has a lot left in the locker. He's got plenty up his sleeve to, make a move on the final lap. We have seen from Jordan Kelly, he's able to nick a position right at the deck at the start-finish line. Peter McCann knows that all too well. But we'll have to wait and see. Alexander Milchin then under pressure here from Rory O'Shea as we make our way now onwards towards Pilgrim's Drop. Rory O'Shea here battling his way back through the order, and maybe he fancied it. He's filling the mirrors of Alexander Milchin going through towards Hawthorne Bend. He knows he'll have the pace here over Alexander Milchin. It's just picking the most appropriate time to get the move done.
It is, and I'm looking at the clock. We're coming up towards the end of this race. I wonder, will this be the last lap? It is. The white flag raises. This is going to be the last lap of the race. Kelly has no choice but to go for this now. In towards Druids. Is he going to go for a lunge? No, he's more mature than that. As McClements, it's a mistake for Dylan McClements out of Druids, and Jordan Kelly pounces at the bit. He gets it around the outside. McClements stays in front. It's all slidey, heading through the Graham Hill bend for Dylan McClements. Have the nerves just got the better of him, Kieran.
How did he get away with that one? Jordan Kelly was all over him, but somehow McClements managed to hold on to the position. We head our way now towards Pilgrim's Drop and towards Hawthorne Bend. That was Jordan Kelly's best opportunity to take the lead in this race, and he couldn't quite grasp it with both hands.
Dylan McClements heads in towards the tightest sector of the track. He cannot afford another mistake like he had in towards Druids. Coming through down towards Sheen Curve. This is a corner where a lot have made a mistake, but he's down rounding towards Sterling's. Look how close Jordan Kelly is. He's fabulous in this final sector, and there could be a move into the final corner on the cards here. McClements has got a great run though, and he's ahead. It's a performance of a lifetime. The 14-year-old from Ballymena is going to defeat a British Formula Ford champion. Unbelievable. This is why this is the greatest series. Jordan Kelly has made a big blunder there somewhere, Kieran, but it's a McClements masterclass.
Yeah, Jordan Kelly came into the pit lane there, so he's taken the checkered flag. Lawrence de Sosa, meanwhile, takes third place in the final race today. Peter McCann in fourth place, ahead of Alexander Milchin. And Rory O'Shea, who was putting the pressure on Alexander Milchin in the final closing stages, lost a lot of time and was actually under pressure for Kanto Chukra in the closing stages there. But what a fantastic race. Dylan McClements, take a bow. Not many can withstand the pressure of Jordan Kelly, but Dylan McClements was able to do that for about 15 minutes.
That is one of the best performances I've seen, and one of the best by Dylan McClements. I know I joke that I'm part of the Dylan McClements fan club, but there is nothing that you can hold for him other than respect. The pressure he was under for such a long duration of time in that race, and he just brushed it off like it was absolutely nothing. Further down the field, I know we didn't speak much about it, but it is Upson who comes ahead of Thornton, McManus, then Gandor. By the way, Lawrence de Sosa back on the podium. A cracking result there by him.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant from Lawrence de Sosa, and kept the cool when others faded around him. And he's pushing along Alexander Milchin. I have a feeling Alex has run out of fuel here, and Lawrence is giving him a helping hand to have a lap of honour there. But fantastic racing from all involved here tonight. What a way to round off proceedings. And not a hat-trick for Jordan Kelly. It's Dylan McClements who comes away with the victory.
One thing I want to think is, has Jordan Kelly picked up enough X to maybe be disqualified or something? Because he's not there on our order. He's got 12th position as Jordan Kelly. I tell you what, there's times where we think this championship is fairly much decided, and we just tip it over, like one of those egg timers. It's incredible, but here is your results. It is Dylan McClements out of Lawrence de Sosa and Peter McCann. That's a 100-1 podium in the bookies. Paddy Power won that one. Alexander Mitchin in fourth, and Rory O'Shea in fifth. Camto Chuka in sixth, Conor Melia seventh, Tony Stack in eighth, Stuart Britton in ninth, and Colin O'Regan in 10th.
Yeah, and then it's Philip Upson in 11th place. Then it is Jordan Kelly in 12th place. Gerard Thornton in 13th place with Brian McManus in 14th. Jamal Gandor in 15th place with Simon Hutchings in 16th place. Sean McGoldrick, I think, was in 17th place there with Andrew Murphy in 18th. Then it's Kevin Joyce in 19th and Sean McClements rounding off the top 20. A little bit of a cameo from him there towards the end of the race.
Yes, and then it is Sebastian Schloten in 21st, David Prunty in 22nd, Aaron Dalton 23rd, Gary Corcoran, 24th, Finley Melvin 25th, John McDonald 26th, and Ronan Doherty in 27th. The championship has taken a turn again, but let's hear from your podium first and foremost, and let's hear from Dylan McClements. Dylan, congratulations. That was an insane performance.
I was lucky to get the win there at the end. It's going to boost my points up, and I think I placed third, second, and first, so it's like some type of order.
Going on to the last lap then, what was going through your head? Because we saw you got away with a mistake at Druids. Was that just maybe nerves? Because you still won it, but you seemed like you had it in control and then made that mistake. Just tell us how you were feeling, really, because I know me and Kieran were going mad in the commentary box.
Oh, I was just thinking about how there was only one lap, and if I messed this up, it could all go wrong. I didn't mess up, got away with it, lucky enough, and I kept my head down for the rest of the lap, and also kept an eye behind in case any moves were going to be made. But it's too much to express.
And then, like, for the whole race, you didn't seem to flinch once. It seemed like you had it all in control. Were you feeling as in control in the simulator?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just lap after lap, I kept on looking at the time, seeing how much was left, thinking, like, if Jordan, got past me here, could I make another one soon enough? And, I try to keep my head down and watch out for any moves, and sometimes took defensive lines, but I was really consistent that race, and without even realising, I didn't think too much of my lap times, but I just kept my head down and pushed.
Dylan, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to hear from you, and I think everybody wants a little bit more Dylan McClements after that one.
Alright, see ya.
Just a quick report going in before we hand it over to Kieran for an interview with Lawrence de Soswa. Jordan Kelly has been disqualified from that race. That's why the podium has changed. Peter McCann just confirming it to us, so he was disqualified. That's a big points loss there for Jordan.
Big point loss indeed, and that's going to be championship headache, that is for sure. We'll speak more about that, I'm sure. Let's grab Lawrence de Sosva and get him into the commentary box by the scruff of his neck. Lawrence, P2 in that final race. Brilliant stuff, and a fantastic battle between yourself and Alexander Milchin in that final race. Talk us through that battle.
Yeah, it was sweaty because, like, Alex is a great driver. I know I trust him, and even if we were to get into an incident, it'd be very, very isolated. We've had such great battles, and he, of course, is one of the very active Potato Nation members as well. So I trust him, and if we take each other out, at least it's good entertainment on my stream. But it's very unlikely to happen with him. So battling with him at the pointy end of such a stacked league is like, it's a real kind of it's a highlight for me in my sim racing.
A very good night for you as well, Lawrence. I believe that's all finishes in the top 10. I think you were just outside the top 3 in race 2 with a second place now. That's a strong haul of points you've got to your name, sir.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy. I'm feeling a little bit better. So I have my hand is injured and it's on the recovery. So this is my first race in about 6 weeks without my hand being in a cast. So hopefully getting a little bit of pace. Sorry, if I'm stuttering a little bit, my subscribers are doing things on my stream that are causing sound effects that are distracting me. So I'm sorry about that.
No problem at all. I mean, I'm not surprised your chat is going mad with some great driving on display. I mean, well, Brands Hatch has treated you really, really well. How do you reckon Hockenheim's going to treat you, Lawrence?
The next round is it? Sorry,
It is, yes.
my ears are actually been blown off me here. The next round, yeah, Hockenheimring, I really like it. It's one of those tracks. So because I've been racing for quite a long time, and when I started racing online against people about 6 or 7 years ago, I couldn't believe how much faster they were than me. I thought I was a quick driver. So Hockenheimring was one of those technical tracks where I really had to learn those lines and see what they were doing, because the difference between getting it right and getting it terribly wrong visually is not really a big difference. But I'm feeling quite good about that one. Brands was difficult because the lads are so quick here, but I think they pushed themselves a little bit too hard this week. So I got a couple of free spots and I'm not complaining.
Sounds like, Lawrence, you need to recover from a wrist injury more often because it's given you a quick turn of pace. All the best for your recovery, and I'm sure we'll see you again at Hockenheim.
Thanks a million, guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. And I'll hand it over to you, Evan, to interview our third podium finisher, and Peter McCann.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, Peter. Peter, you lost the podium to Jordan Kelly in Virginia International Raceway on the last lap. Is it safe to say you have a bit of a Jeremy Clarkson smug face on right now? The fact his penalty gave you this one?
That's exactly what I have. Exactly what I have. Yeah, he said he wasn't watching his X's and he got a 4X with Dylan apparently on the last lap, and I just pushed him over. So it was lucky for me.
In terms of the whole evening, it was a little bit mixed. We saw you had a bit of a spin in one of the heats, but you had some great battles as well. A great overtake around the outside of Alexander Milchin. So overall, are you happy with this one?
Yeah, Alex is a great driver. Really, really good to race that man for what is eventually a podium spot. Yeah, it's been an awesome evening after a bad race one, and it's awesome to do it in this Beck cancer livery. I'm racing this livery for Eric Couillard, who has cancer, and he's at home. He unfortunately can't race this week, so it's good to get this. I told him I'd get him a podium. It's good to get it on the podium at last.
I know it's a brilliant thing to do for Eric, and fabulous to get that livery on the podium. In terms of the battles, then you said Alex is a great driver. There was some fabulous battles throughout the evening. It's really a high quality grid here, isn't it?
It's awesome. We have, like, when you look at the grid, you have all the best sim racers that you can have, like, across Europe and further on, and you have all the best drivers from every series that take up sim racing. They're all here, they're all racing, they're all at the front of this. It's just crazy to see these names on a grid like this, like.
Well, we have some big names on the grid. You beat most of them tonight, Peter. Congratulations on the podium.
Thanks a million, guys. Talk to you.
Yeah, it's great to hear from the podium there. It's nice to have a few different interviews. No Jordan Kelly for once, although I'm sure they'll be back next week in Hockenheim. Kieran, driver of the day. It's an interesting one tonight, I tell you that for free.
You know what? I don't think we need a coin for this one. My vote's going to go for Peter, and he's been coaxed out of plenty of driver of the days in the past by a simple coin flip. I'm not willing to put a coin flip on Peter today. He had a fantastic race. I mean, as you said, as I think he said, the first race didn't go to plan. But then from then, he was absolutely flying. Some great battles out there for Peter. And to get himself onto the podium in the Vec cancer livery, fantastic job from Peter. I think he's deserving of my driver of the day today.
I love how you and Peter both stopped before saying that word. Which, like, I mean, we can say that.
Have to be sure, yes. Yeah, we can say it. Yeah, it is allowed.
But it made it worse. It makes it sound much decision. I know, I agree with Peter McCann. I do want to give a shout out to one person, though, as well. Stuart Brereton. Great evening from him. He was very quick this evening. But I do agree. Peter McCann for getting the podium, for having good races, and some brownie points for running that livery for Eric. Eric, if you are watching, we do hope you're doing well. And we do hope you're back with us next week in Hockenheim. Oh, he's going to love this one. Peter McCann, your Gantry TV driver of the day for Brands Hatch.
Absolutely. Well deserved as well. He's put in a fantastic shift tonight. Well earned podium as well. And should be pressing on to Hockenheim. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can bring that turn of pace with him next week. Well, we had an instant-filled race number 2. Things seemed to calm down in race 3. And when I say calm down, I mean we had an absolutely mega battle for first place for half of the race, all coming to an end, unfortunately, by Jordan Kelly running too foul of the X's and getting himself disqualified in the proceedings. But there we go. It's a great race for all involved. And it's once again going to scramble up the championship standings.
Absolutely. I don't think the championship could be closer coming into the final races. It really is such a top championship fight we have going in towards the final couple of races. Hockenheim next week, Kieran. What can we expect?
Did be very German. I heard there's something going on in Germany right now, but I can't place my finger on what. But yes, a very technical circuit, as we heard from Lawrence and Peter there. Should be really good stuff to watch on. And it's going to be a long straight followed by a hairpin. Interesting first laps in all three races, that's for sure. I'm thoroughly looking forward to it.
Yes, and just speaking of Eric, great to have Eric in the stream chat watching as well. Eric, we hope you can join us next week in Hockenheim. A big thanks to everybody watching at home and supporting here on Gantry TV. Your support is greatly appreciated as ever. RTAVirtualMotorsport.com, the new series, is out now for sign-ups, I believe. It is a Mustang American series with the new GT3 Mustang that's added to iRacing. That one excites me greatly, Kieran. I think that's going to be a good one.
I think so. Can we just make it next week already and the week after? I'm looking forward to these final two races. Two tracks that are pretty much on the opposite end of the spectrums when it comes to track design. Let's do it. Fantastic 2 weeks ahead.
Yes, I am thoroughly looking forward to it. Kieran is thoroughly looking forward to it, and we hope you guys are at home as well. A big thanks, of course, to Kieran for joining me. A big thanks to Ronan and Hederman, fabulous as always behind the scenes, and a big thanks to our drivers for providing fabulous action for Ireland's #1 sim racing series. We will catch you in Hockenheim, same time, same place, Gantry TV, every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Don't miss it. Slán go fóill.